right, we have Dr. Shetty back with us. Doctor, I was asking you, your suggestions to the viewers really, because remember, the number of cases across the globe are only spiking. We've lost more than 30,000 people from around the world. In India itself, cases are on the rise. What does one do to keep their mental health in check at this point in time?
One is tell themselves they're fighting an invisible war and they have two guns in their hand. One is of patience and resolve. The coronavirus dies when it's left alone. It needs the human body to thrive. This is a sentence they have to repeat in their minds again and again for discipline. Number two is that they need to be creative. It's now the ninth day, and you can't cook every day together. You can't do yoga together every day, though it's extremely nice. Try and do something else. A father called me up the other day and said he was bored and irritable. And I told him, serve food to your children which you have not done in the last 10 years. That made him feel nice. There was this boy who was singing in the house and his mother was saying, please don't sing, we want peace and calmness. I told the mother, let the boy sing his heart out. Let kids speak their heart out, let kids sing their heart out. There was a mother who wanted her kids to study and she would say, padhai karo, nahi to corona aega. And I had to tell her that padhai nahi kiya to corona bhag jayegi, and that I think is very important. There was this man who said mental health is not about only feelings, it's about food. I don't get my favorite food here, what should I do? I told him this is an emergency, eat what you get and think whatever is there on your table is your favorite food. So we need to have creative answers. In fact, I am going to teach my children public speaking from today. You can't be doing the same thing every day. You have to learn to do new things, and that I think is very important. Little exercise.
So try and indulge yourselves in as many activities as possible. Explore all sides to yourselves is your suggestion. Also joining us this morning is Mr. Kuldeep Khoda, who's former DGP of Jammu and Kashmir. Many thanks for joining us, sir, this morning. Sir, your assessment of, especially the law and order situation in the country as it stands right now. We saw how, just about a day back, there was a lot of movement given the migrant crisis that we were looking at. So far, what have you been able to assess as far as the law and order is concerned in the country?
That the government came out with appropriate and right directions at the right time. Well, there's echo in this, I think. Hello?
All right.
Can you set it right?
All right. Sir, you can continue. We can hear you.
Hello? Okay. And the government came out with the right measures at right time, and the phased manner in which the government came up about the restrictive measures, they got implemented also in time. But during the last 2 days, we have seen surge of the migrants trying to reach their homes. This is despite the government appeals and despite the fact that various chief ministers had been directed to ensure that there's no migration and they are kept in temporary accommodation with adequate facilities like food and other things. But despite that, there have been complaints that some of the landlords have been forcing them out, or some people are not getting adequate accommodation or rations. But I must underline one thing, is that it is basically in some sort of DNA of the Indian people that whenever they are free and they are not to do anything, they want to rush back to their homes. I think it is this underlying factor which has given upsurge to this movement. And now the government has come out with the revised guidelines that wherever they go, the concerned chief ministers should ensure that they are put under quarantine for 14 days and not allowed to reach their homes. Though in first instance, it would have been appropriate that they should not have moved. But since they have not adhered to the government guidelines, and despite the fact that the facilities had been provided, so we have to expect that, we hope that they don't spread the virus in case any of them has been affected. And this is a health hazard, and I must tell you here that the police has a very onerous task at this point of time to enforce lockdown. And we have seen that the policemen are resorting to some sort of tactics, innovative tactics, to ensure that people are generally put to some sort of inconvenience if they venture out. But I must underline one more fact here, that we should come up with innovative ideas more in this respect, like some sort of makeshift prisons. These fellows who come out violating all guidelines, they should be put in prison for a few days. And some makeshift prisons, some areas, some vacant accommodation, like schools and colleges, should be declared as prisons. And they should be put in prison. That will send a right message across the country that it is not that policeman catches you violating the guidelines and you are made to sit at one place for 2 hours, 3 hours. I mean, we have to go for more strict measures in this regard.
So strict action against the violators is what you're suggesting, Mr. Khoda. All right. We also have our first caller who's calling in. Mahendra is calling us from Bengaluru. Mahendra, your question.
Yeah, ma'am. My question was, what should we do? Because the day by day the cases are rising in Bangalore also, and we are having a grocery shop where I think we are also affected, or we are going to be affected within few days. Should we close our shop, or what should we do, ma'am?
I would like to answer
All
this.
right. All right. That question I think I can put out to Mr. Khoda since Mahendra is in doubt about what he should do. The number of cases are rising.
You know, the grocery is one of the essential items and people generally can't live with it. Ideally would have liked that they also close the shops. But since this is an essential commodity and it is necessarily to be provided to the people, these people should take adequate precautions. And I'm sure that if adequate precautions are taken, these things will not transmit from one person to another person. As is rightly said, the coronavirus doesn't travel by itself. It is the human beings who make it to carry from one place to another place. So if the grocery owner is able to maintain adequate distance from the persons who come to buy grocery and also take preventive measures like the mask as well as use sanitizer very frequently, I don't think there should be any problem. And moreover, the people who come to buy groceries, the owner should create adequate facilities like they should stand in a queue at a proper distance rather than trying to attend to everybody at one time. He should enforce discipline of the buyers also. If he enforces the discipline among the buyers and also observes the precautions which are required to be taken.
Go ahead with as many precautions is your suggestion. Mahendra, just go ahead with as many precautions. There's no need to panic. All measures are being taken to ensure that the virus is not spread and as much can be contained. But also, next caller calling in Rakhi Vaidya, calling from Bengaluru. Rakhi, go ahead.
Good morning, sir. My just one question is like many of the students who are staying at the abroad, they are really worried about like how they have to handle mentally as well as because they'll be away from the house. So what are the measures and the precautions and mentally how they should be fit enough to face this crisis?
Dr. Shetty.
Yeah, I think make as many video calls as necessary. And when you call your daughter or your son who's abroad, remember to talk softly, calmly and say that we are all right and you also take care. At the same time, don't only talk about the coronavirus. Talk about small things which you did in the day. Small stories bring down anxiety. And such small, insignificant stories, when shared, anxiety goes down. At the same time, answer all the queries of your child and see that in her environment, she enjoys music, she talks to her friends, she talks to her closest friends. Remember, all of us need an emotional safe space wherein we can be emotionally nude and tell people what we feel. Encourage your children to talk to their safe spaces. At the same time, share small stories and let your children share small stories. Tell them that it's going to take time, and don't give them any false assurances that you will come back very soon. Don't worry, God is there. Yeah, pray to God, but don't give any false assurances. Share stories, anxiety will go down, answer all questions. And about the grocer, just one line.
Stay in a positive frame of mind. That is Dr. Shetty's suggestion. One needs to be extremely positive at this point in time. Next caller calling in from Mumbai. Kailash, good morning. Your question, please.
Yeah, good morning. Hi. I just want to ask a very simple, straightforward question. Person having diabetes, also after 45 years, the person is a lady for menopause, and she is having not only hypertension because their anxiety attacks come frequently during the day and the breathlessness is there. Person is feeling breathlessness, and the doctor said this is because of menopause or maybe some sugar level going up and down and anxiety feeling. So what should be? It's not throughout the day. Sometimes comes in the morning, afternoon, or evening. The person feels breathlessness, feeling bad, fearness. That breathlessness feeling is coming. So what should be done in the sitting in the house by the family members? The person feels like just running around, in the house, feeling like breathlessness and anxiety. And doctor says maybe that's because of menopause or something, some hormonal changes taking place in the woman's body. And I've seen this across. So I'm just asking a straightforward question. Is it because of menopause or diabetes or some anxiety, this fear feeling and breathlessness feeling coming? Can you suggest some ways out of it?
Yes. All right. All right. Dr. Shetty, if you could address his concerns, please.
Please see that the sugar is controlled. When you are at home, you might snack more, you might eat more. See that you don't snack and eat more. If the chest is clear, if the BP is under control, and if the sugar is under control, remember, it could be anxiety. Let your family doctor give you small anti-anxiety medications which will bring down her restlessness, her anxiety, her need to go up and down, and her fear about the virus. At the same time, when the family doctor reassures your close relative, her anxiety will go down. Your reassurance alone may not help. And that, I think, is very important. Anti-anxiety pills and reassurance continuously will help your close relative.
All right. All right. Thank you, Kailash, for speaking to us this morning. Next caller calling in from New Delhi, Mr. Sunil Agarwal. Your question.
I'm an organ transplant patient. So what precaution me and my family should take so that I am prevented from this COVID disease? And I want to know what action the government is taking against the violators who are breaking the total lockdown rules.
All right, Mr. Khoda, if you could answer that one, please.
One thing is very certain, that those who are violating the government guidelines, a very strict action needs to be taken. And by strict action, I mean that they have to be isolated forcibly. Anybody violating, coming out on the road, they have to be temporarily put in some sort of makeshift prison, because under the act with the guidelines which have been promulgated, a person can be arrested for violating the guidelines. So person arrested should be put in a makeshift prison for few days at least, so that others, after knowing this, that these violators are being imprisoned, they learn a lesson out of it and they don't venture to come out. Because this is the only way we can prevent it. Otherwise, you will have lots of violators everywhere. If they feel that they are going unscathed and nobody is acting against them, it will generate a movement of those violators, and it will endanger the lives of others also, and they themselves as well. So there is no other alternative to it except enforcing it very strictly and giving exemplary punishments to those who violate.
All right, all right. So strict action against violators. Once again, I believe Sunil's first part of his question was for Dr. Shetty. Dr. Shetty, if you'd like to address that, please.
Yes. I have a close friend, Milind Kulkarni, who's in the same state as you are, transplant. His immunosuppressant drugs were not available. I saw to that it got available. He has to remain safe, away, and take all the precautions. At the same time, Mr. Milind Kulkarni has shared his story about what he's doing, and I'm going to put that on my blog, Mind, Moods and Magic, in 24 hours. Please have a look, and you please connect with my friend. I'll put his phone number also on the blog. Stay away, stay safe, and be strong. You will cross the COVID virus, and the COVID virus will not reach you.
All right. I hope that answers your questions, Sunil. Many thanks for joining us this morning. Also thanking our guests and experts, Mr. Khoda and also Dr. Shetty. Appreciate you joining us, gentlemen.